Hello once again. Veronica Andrews here, your host on Off the Shelf Books on Tour. I have a guest with me today who I'm really thrilled to have, Mr. Bill Cummings. If the name isn't recognizable, I find that very hard to believe. He has come up with a book that took him a long time to write, starting small and making it big. I believe you were born entrepreneurial. Yes or no?
Probably so.
Yes. And by the way, happy birthday. You were supposed to be here the day before your birthday, and we got snowed out.
That's right.
And you had a good birthday. I hope the snow didn't deter your celebration.
No, I guess we're going to get some late spring snow tomorrow.
No. Now, we both come in at the end of the Depression, so thank God we didn't have to live through what our parents lived through. But we grew up with waste not, want not, fix it, use it again.
Mm-hmm. It certainly did.
And it served you well. And a lot of you, I love the story of the ammo. Where were you when you saw ammo shells being thrown away and you were like 6 or 7 years old, smart enough to take them and sell them to a junk man?
Well, I think I was a little older than 6, probably closer to 17 as a student at Tufts.
Okay, good enough.
And this was in the Air Force ROTC rifle range.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked for volunteers to help clean up one day, and I said, "Oh, be happy to clean up."
And you cleaned up.
Can I clean up the down at the end of the range as well?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely, sure.
Good, but before that, you sold pop, tonic, soda, to construction workers off the back of your bike.
That was 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, and then
Out of my little red wagon.
Ice cream in the little red wagon.
No, the soda pop was the little red wagon. The ice cream was off the back of my bike. Another 5 or 6 years after that.
And it was onward and upward from there.
It's been a good ride.
It has, and you've enjoyed it. That comes through in the book.
Veronica, that is so important in any business position. I think in all careers, if we can find something
that you love,
that we really enjoy doing,
mm-hmm.
we're going to be so much better at it.
Yeah, well, you hear that, find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. But
Exactly.
How many people are that lucky, Bill?
Oh, well, that's a good point. But if one can be, that's certainly what we should be looking for.
And your father's luck, and luck has blessed you over the years. And you've in a lot of times you've made your own luck. You're very observant on a peripheral vision, and you take in everything. So the projects that I've seen you do, and I've watched your career over the years, I watched my city grow up around, I think it should be Cummingsville. You benefit my community, my population, and historically restore, and everything you do goes into the future with your charitable donations. I know Cummings Park is very big in my community, and I wonder if you even know how many donated spaces are there that, like the Woburn Public Library.
Sure.
And new library being built, needed a new home for our books. They secured a contract with you, and it's worked very, very well. And then you return the money to them that they had augmented to pay for the space.
Right.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure to do that, especially in Woburn.
Yes, and you take care of Winchester and Lawrence, and you're very eclectic.
Yeah. Veronica, as far as the charitable part of Cummings Foundation is concerned, we work in 3 counties, and they are Middlesex County, Essex County, and Suffolk County. And we focus almost exclusively there with most of what the foundation does.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because that's the area from which we've drawn our income for a long time, and to try to give back in the community where the funds came from.
Play it ahead. It works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those who don't know you, you really started after a tour of the world on the Queen Mary and a year in Europe, and then Vicks and Gordon's.
Vicks Vapor Rub, then Gorton's Fish Sticks.
Mm-hmm.
2 smelly products, but they were both good.
And the fertilizer worked well. with lemon juice in it, so it didn't smell so bad. But then you went on to Henshaw Street in Woburn in a small company, a fruit juice company. And as I understand it, they were sort of marking time. And you found a dispenser that would deliver on call, and you got colleges and universities to buy into it, and that sort of catapulted you.
We were very fortunate in developing that line of business for the Old Medford Foods Company, in which effectively made concentrated fruit juice products that we put onto college dining halls.
Mm-hmm.
And we're very successful with that because of the dispenser that you noted, and made a lot of money in a relatively short time.
I read in the paper the other day, and I wondered if you know it, there's a new company out, BELVI, and they now are in control of a lot of these dispensers, and they can fill them with a computer internet.
It sounds like a nice, easy way to
Yeah,
do it.
wouldn't that have made a difference? You know,
I
no matter
guess
how
so.
successful you were, you still had to deliver product
Yeah.
and maintain machines, and these guys sit in an office and push buttons and tell it to do its thing. Look out, there's somebody coming after you that took a page from your book. The story that I love the most is your mom. You asked her to come in and help you get this particular venue off the ground, and she said, yes, as long as you bring my Underwood. And you, being the smart aleck, thought, no, Mom, I'm going to spoil you and get you a Selectric typewriter. And what did Mom say?
Well, there's probably a little more time involved than that.
Okay.
She was there using her old click-clack Underwood for a year or so, and then we decided it was time to get into the modern age, and we bought a Selectric, IBM Selectric.
And she balked just like I do when they hand me a
And she hated
smartphone.
it. She was in tears over it. She had to learn all over again. I'm too old to do that.
And what happened? The entire Eastern Seaboard went out of electricity, and she said, bring me the Underwood.
That was the day of the great blackout in the Northeast, and I think she probably really felt that it was probably because of that Underwood going away.
I love it when the jazz comes together, especially to back up a mom. And from there, you continued to buy more buildings. Every success allowed you to go on to Moa.
We had a little extra land adjacent to the Old Medford Foods manufacturing facility. We put a small building there. Looked out the window. There was a lot that we didn't own next door. We purchased that. A piece of property came available on Washington Street that used to be the Anderson greenhouses. We bought that, and about that time I decided I liked real estate more than I liked fruit punch. And I became a real estate developer about that time, about 1969 or 70.
Mm-hmm. And as time progressed, you also became politically involved because, as so often happens, your ideas were new, innovative, untried. Nobody ever did it before. And you got a lot of problems. And you really enjoyed going up against those politicians, and you kept on winning.
Yeah, I don't think I would never have classified them as a lot of problems. That it was there was a constant back and forth determining what our development rights might be.
Because nobody had done it before.
Because it hadn't been done before, and we had to assert ourselves and make way to really improve the city with some modern construction. That was a time that Woburn was seeing the last of its multitudinous tanneries, and there were still a few around, and there were some good developable sites, and we, being young and ambitious, I was anxious to continue building once I learned how to do it. And we've got about 11 million square feet now in 11 eastern Massachusetts communities. They run.
I wouldn't want to see your tax bill.
They go from Beverly to in the east to Marlborough and up as far as Andover, and south into Somerville a little bit. Never into Boston. Strictly suburban. I never have to go into fight
Downtown
that traffic.
for a meeting. Good for you.
Yeah. It's been a great A great adventure. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not without its bumps. About that time, Jamie McEwen came into your life. Bright, brilliant, energetic
Sure,
young man.
yeah.
Could sort of remind you of you when you were his age?
Oh, I don't know about that. I wasn't near as sharp as he was at his age.
Very personable.
Yeah.
He brought a lot to the company. He brought a lot to the community. And almost at the pinnacle of yours and his success, he passes away.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried about you.
Mm-hmm.
That had to be a tough, tough time.
It was extremely difficult.
But you've turned that into a positive as well. How many $10,000 scholarships are given out every year in his name?
We gave out a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you an interesting sideline there. Yesterday, we had a visitor in the office, and she's someone that you probably know by name anyway. She's a reporter for WBZ, and she was in the first 1997 group at Woburn High School as a recipient of a McEwen Scholarship.
Excellent.
And she had ahead of time purchased this book online somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and had called, and I got to meet Bernice personally, and we had such a lovely meeting. And she had come back all these years later and brought the book over, and would I endorse the book and write something in her book for her. So that was
nice. And
that was yesterday.
I believe she was in the graduating class of my youngest daughter. I recognize the name.
Okay.
How nice to know that but that's what I'm saying. Out of his passing, his name lives on, the legacy lives on.
Mm-hmm.
In the class, that took class for that young lady to come back and say thank you,
Mm-hmm.
to not just fly. So I'm sure Jamie would be as pleased to know that he's remembered. Thank you for that. When I go into the office, what's the motto at the head of the stairs? On a white board. It's sort of like the Patriots motto. Get the job done.
Oh, I think you might be referring to something that said it's not the. We should have rehearsed this ahead of time.
I was going to stop at the office this morning and look.
I think it's.
I wrote it down once.
It's not the problem. It's how you handle it that counts.
Yes,
something
thank you
to that
very
effect.
much. Yes, but it's very positive.
Yeah,
And
that, go ahead.
It's a very positive greeting when you enter the complex.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your personal choice?
Yeah, we deal with problems. It's our responsibility as property owners and managers and developers. We work with 2,000 plus business and professional clients, and our job is to see to it that their space is doing what it's supposed to do, that it's in proper condition, that if there's something out of the ordinary develops, if there's a bump develops in the road, it's up to us to repair it and see it so the problems don't become client problems. They're our problems, and we deal with them.
But you also always have something else on the horizon. You started the Woburn Advocate newspaper, tried to hand a newspaper for a while.
We did the Advocate and also the Winchester Town Crier and the Stoneham Sun. So we had 3 newspapers that we operated for 3 years, and actually that was about the time that Jamie took over the presidency, and I really became involved as a newspaper publisher to get me out of his way. That was it, just give me something so I wasn't going to be hovering over him.
And you enjoyed it?
Very much so. We didn't do, and you'll probably remember the newspaper pretty well.
I wrote for it.
Okay. Well, that did a terrific job in the city of Woburn for 120 years anyway. And we weren't going to try to replace it in any way whatsoever, but we didn't do stories about the accident at 4th and Main, so to speak, but we did stories about people, and particularly stories that were about people who were doing businesses in Woburn. And
Along with the Woburn Business Association,
Sure.
which is still in place.
Yeah.
Are you a charter member?
We're an early member. I don't know if we're a charter member or
I'm
not.
a charter member.
Well, you're way ahead of me. I knew that.
And it's still in place, and still, they almost seem to have gotten a second breath with the new director. I see so many more meetings and networking.
It seems to be doing extremely well, and she is doing an
Yes.
excellent
You
job.
know, what a lovely young lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, very much. When did it go from working diligently, building, to giving back, which has always been a quotient? But is your joy more in giving back than it was in building the empire?
Not more, but it's extremely rewarding to be doing what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed building the endowment, which was planned for a long time. Joyce and I founded the foundation in 1986, and one of the motivating factors there was learning that our 4 kids, they all have their own pathways. None of them wanted to be in the business. All of them worked for a while. None of them wanted it for a career. And
did that disappoint you, or
Sure.
pride?
No. It was disappointing, but it was reality. It's the way it should be.
Well, we raised them to be individuals.
Absolutely.
And to go their own way and not to, take off from us. And my 5 have gone so far away from what Daddy and I do, it isn't funny, but they're all proficient, they're good people. I couldn't be prouder of them and their accomplishments.
And I feel exactly the same way, but it also, with their complete
Abandonment.
No, with their complete concurrence, we determined at that point that they had all they needed. We had far more than we needed. Let's do something more important with it, and really fund the foundation to do some significant things in the community.
And as much as is listed in the book, and as much as you talk about, I'll bet you there's 100 more stories that aren't in the book. Tell me about Tufts Veterinarian School, which I know has always been very close to your heart.
The Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine now is in North Grafton, Massachusetts. It is very highly regarded school. It's the only school of veterinary medicine in New England, and it used to be Harvard and Tufts. Harvard had its facility for quite a long time in Waltham, but now the Cummings School is the only one. It does remarkable things all over the world in research projects, and we've been very proud to be associated with the school. It's a remarkable institution.
And veterinarians are becoming more and more important to the population. I think sometimes we care more about our animals than we do our neighbors and our friends.
That certainly happens sometimes.
And it's very difficult to become a veterinarian and find a school where you can learn and practice the trade that you're really comfortable with.
Sure, there's a great competition for space. There's no question about that. But the things that come out of veterinary medicine, as far as affecting human health, are dramatic sometimes, and that's especially important.
One day I was in your office and you had a lovely cannon off the side of your desk, which I resented because it had a bigger mouth than I do. And you had found it in one of your sites. Have you found any other treasures like that when the buildings come down, or do they even make their way to you?
That's not something that tends to happen.
No?
We haven't opened up any walls and found any
No safe for
time
Al
capsules
Capone
or
and phooey.
boxes of money or anything like that. No.
Phooey. And along the way, you got to meet this lovely Southern lady who really set you on your heels.
Joyce and I met at the Massachusetts Eye and Ear Infirmary. Joyce had earlier become a hospital dietitian in the program at Mass General Hospital, and she was the dietitian at Mass Eye and Ear, and we met in the kitchen. I left her office that day, and went home to my facility, the plant that we had on Henshaw Street and Fulton Street in Medford at that time, and turned around about an hour later and said, I've got to go back and get to know her a little better. We had a date that night, and we've been dating ever since, and that was 52 years ago.
Congratulations. And she her lovely southern charm polished and really brought you.
She balanced me
Yes,
beautifully.
yes, and you still do. You can see it in pictures when I meet you in public, when you go to another honorary. How many awards do you have? Do you have a room or a warehouse? It seems to me every other day, which I'm glad for. People are saying thank you. That you're getting college awards, Irish Cultural Council. I mean, everybody is saying thank you, and I'm glad that you're hearing it. Because every day when some famous, wonderful person passes, all these laurels come in, and they never hear them.
That's often true.
So I'm glad that you're hearing them now, but you have to have a warehouse for all the awards.
That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but we do enjoy. We've given several joint commencement addresses at local colleges, and particularly enjoy that an opportunity to talk to people who are going out and making their way in the world and going to make a difference, most of them, and to have an opportunity to impart a little of our thinking anyway.
Do you feel like they absorb it, please?
I hope. I think so. There's some percentage of it. I think most of them, by the time they get 10 or 20 years out, won't remember who their commencement speaker was, but we've got no big name to toss around there, but that's okay.
Don't minimize your name. You hang out with Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. Hello. I mean,
that's an altogether different lifestyle.
I would imagine, but in this position, I meet some of the world's most famous people.
Yeah.
And they're just people, Bill. They're just like you and me. They laugh, they giggle, they hurt, they cry. Do you find when you're in that environment that they're just like us, they just happen to be extremely wealthy?
I really do.
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Gateses and Warren Buffett, and I've got very few idols. I would put Warren in that category, though. I've held him in very high regard, and Bill and Melinda Gates similarly are doing so much in this world to make an enormous difference.
Leading the way, definitely.
I mean, they can count by the hundreds of thousands the lives that they've saved, and they are saving, and so many more to come. They do so much, and the organization they founded, the Giving Pledge, which brings so many other people together now, is really there for the purpose of encouraging people to talk a little bit and publicize their philanthropy to encourage others to do the same. That's really what the purpose of it is.
So the next time you take them to Steiger for dinner, I want to come. Which is another one of the federal courthouse in Woburn. And you had to know of a need. You had to see property. I love your multifaceted brain. And I think that's why people in the 80s just couldn't get it, because they weren't capable of thinking that with that peripheral vision. So thank you for making my community. And the shoe. Shoes in Beverly?
The shoe is the former United Shoe Machinery manufacturing company in Beverly. It's a 100-acre site. We purchased it in 1996 and now have about 2 million square feet of almost fully occupied office and research space. And this is...
And another local landmark, restored to the beauty it was originally. People that were out of work when it went out of business. I'll bet you there's 1,000 people employed.
It's
quite
a few more than that, actually.
In commerce coming and going. So there again, what you did benefited and continues into the future. Thank you for having that kind of a brain and sharing it with us, whether we wanted it or not.
I think one of the biggest things about opportunity is just recognizing when it comes along.
Right, as I'm going to North Shore Music Theater and I see that there's your handprint on Durham Road.
Okay, yeah.
Another one. What's on the bucket list? What haven't you done?
Not a whole lot on the bucket list. That's not. We're just trying to live productive lives, and as long as God gives us more time, to try to do something with it. I enjoy work. I enjoy it a lot. I also enjoy spending time away from work. And my deal with Joyce now is that we'll take 10 or 12 weeks vacation each year, and I work solid 50 hours all of the other weeks.
Wow.
And I just enjoy that.
And writing the book was a good experience?
Writing the book was a marvelous experience.
Okay.
Trying to pull it together. And
you enjoy this coming and going and meeting us strange people who ask you boring questions?
Veronica, I've enjoyed meeting you for 40 years now. So
let's cut that down to 30 and not rub it in. Have you enjoyed it enough that it would be a follow-up? Would you venture into another book?
I've been encouraged to take the time to try to pull together a book that pulls the business ideas and makes a book of a business development book.
It'll be an encyclopedia with your track record.
Yeah, this is something that could happen. This book I wrote entirely myself. The other one would be one that I could use an outside writer to extract it and do the legwork that's involved in just composing it all. And there's a lot to that.
Well, when you finish that one, will you bring it back here to us?
Absolutely.
So we can preview it here and send it out to the world?
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be fun.
I can't possibly have gotten half of what this little book holds. It's a treasure trove. Not only does it unveil you to us as a person, but as an entrepreneur and a philanthropist that plays it ahead with almost every breath you take.
Yeah.
It's been my pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for
coming. Are we going
to
tell people how they can buy the book?
You can do that, and the fact that the profits go to charity.
All 100% of the proceeds go to charity, and the book is available on Amazon.com. It's also readily available on its own website, and that's Cummings.com/book. So and we're experiencing a number of people who are buying case quantities for use in schools and colleges.
Excellent.
So that's been an important part.
Oh, that's a book that I'd put a cover on. Thank you for being with us. That's Off the Shelf Books on Tour. My guest has been Mr. Bill Cummings. See ya.